Hey, what's good, guys? It's Cahmron. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the power of build evolution in NBA 2K26, why cap breakers are so great this year, and some subtle changes to the builder that took me a minute to notice, but there are ways to get builds that are pretty much impossible at certain heights. So, obviously from the title, this is how to make a point center build at 7'4". And if you've played the game, you know, I'm sure you tried or thought maybe it's impossible to make a point center at 7'4". And the whole point of this video is to kind of just show you how you can do this, how you can apply this to other builds, and maybe, you know, some ways you can do this to kind of create your own perfect 7'4" point center, and to just get creative with this. Again, this is kind of a concept where I'm going to be breaking down what not upgrading certain stats can do for build names ultimately is kind of how this comes down to it. So these stats are roughly going to be the same as our first example. So this first example is a two-way point center. So when we hit this, right, you got the Shades of Lade, Wembanyama, Marc Gasol. This is a two-way crafty mid-paint maestro. So, something to pay attention to, 65 ball handle, right? This is the highest ball handle a 7'4" can get with a minimum wingspan. And as you saw, right, this build with this maximum ball handle with the pass accuracy is still a two-way crafty mid-paint maestro. It is not a two-way point center, right? So, this is really, really crazy. We're going to lower this ball handle down to 46. And we're going to try to dump in just some random stats right here. The pass accuracy, obviously it's over the 87 threshold, so this is not going to change the name. Interior defense is the same. Perimeter steal, block, rebound, speed, you know, all this is the exact same, right? So again, this is a two-way crafty mid-paint maestro. But here's where it's really, really, really cool. What you can do is once you load in, and it's really this simple. You want to upgrade your ball handle to 49. And remember, right, 65 ball handle does not get the name. You put a cap on 54, a cap on 59, a cap on here to go 63, and check that out. So now, this 7'4", that's going to be able to have a 89 3 ball, a 90 mid-range, and all this other stuff, is now a two-way point center, as opposed to a two-way crafty mid-paint maestro. This is one of those things in the builder that is not talked about very much. I don't think anybody has made a video on this. But you look at this archetype name, two-way crafty mid-paint maestro. We had that 65 ball handle in the builder, and this name still was not possible. So generally with rare builds, right, the best practice is you max out something here, and then you lower it later to get some value on the cap breaker thresholds, or to evo a build into what you want it to be by increasing this rating. But in this instance, you know, if you drop this ball handle down, there's really no way of you knowing what this build would evo to, and you would try the 65 and go, oh yeah, no, this build won't become a point center, and you would probably kind of give up from there. At the core, that's the method. That's how you get the point center name on 7'4s. Now, what I'm going to do for the rest of this video is kind of work live to show you guys, you know, a few different point center names that you're going to go ahead and be able to achieve with this method. And I think this is all very useful stuff, and I think this is all stuff that I just think it's extremely beneficial to kind of figure this out, and it's going to give you more opportunities to sort of customize your build, right? So right now what I'm doing is just trying to find some random attributes that I can continue to drop some points in. We'll just do this here, right? So we've got an 89 free throw. You will have gold float game, the BAM floater, You will have bronze posterizer. You've got big man pro contacts. You've got gold post fade, which you could always get up to 84, which would give you Hall of Fame. Once your mid-range caps go through, you'll have a 90 mid-range. You'll have an 89 3-ball. Really, really high pass accuracy. That's all Hall of Fame badges. You can drop this down to probably 87's your threshold. Ball handle, as you saw, we're going to throw some caps here to get this up to 65. You've got your free throw upgraded, your speed with ball upgraded for normal dribble style. You've got gold, off-ball pest. You've got bronze immovable, 50 steal, 81 block, 84 O board, 85 D board, max speed, agility, strength, and vert. And obviously, again, right, this build is a two-way table setting cleaner. So, you know, there's absolutely zero indication from two-way table setting cleaner that this build would become anything close to a point center. And this is, again, why I think this is so cool, and a really underrated thing about this game and how the build evos work. And if you did end up watching that Gun and Give Edge Enforcer video, this is kind of the exact same concept, right? So we're going to put one cap here. We will put one cap here. And now this two-way table setting cleaner evos to a two-way point center cleaner with a 61 ball handle. So this is two caps. You'll go 65 anyway for the Giannis. And there is potentially, I bet if you got this ball handle up to like 50 something, the threshold I believe is probably a 60 rating with a cap. As long as you're below that, you probably could get this to where it only costs one cap to get this evo. And obviously from there, I'm just personally kind of curious what this would do. We're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to go build specialization shooting so I can get an extra cap. Now what we're going to do is we're going to raise this mid-range. Now check this out. Since you have the point center name, you can then keep building on the point center name. So we went from a cleaner, table setting cleaner, to a point center cleaner. Now we're a two-way midi point center. This means you'll just be able to keep building on this point center name. So by going mid-range before 3-ball, this is a two-way midi point center. If I had upgraded 3-ball first, this would be probably a two-way stretch point center. But since we went midi, we'll go ahead and do that. Now we've got this mid-range upgraded. And I'm sure right here, we have two-way play shot cleaner. So we're kind of out of that archetype name. We're going to keep midi point center. And just sort of raise this for fun. I'm just curious. So this particular version, by going mid-range first, evolved from a two-way table setting cleaner to a two-way point center cleaner to a two-way midi point center. And again, if I had upgraded the 3-ball first, this build name would have been completely different, which I just think is very, very interesting. So we're going to do another example of upgrading certain attributes to go ahead and see, you know, if this build name would change, and kind of what it would change to, right? So right now we are just getting some random stats dropped to go 84 block. That's going to get the shot erasing name in this, I believe. And if it's not in this, it will pop up for the point center. So you're a two-way table setting cleaner still. Just like last time, what we want to do is evo to point center first. So there's a really specific order you always have to do. You want to go ball handle, put 1, 2, all right, we're a point center cleaner again. Now for this one, I'm curious with standing dunk, if I were to raise this, if we would be able to get a different name. And next, I'm probably going to try 3-ball. Try close shot, try to get the post scoring point center name at 7-4. But just for fun, let's see what happens if we cap break this standing dunk all the way up to 85. So right there, two-way point center riser is what pops up. Again, right, we went to a two-way point center cleaner first, then we went to a two-way point center riser. And now if you were to upgrade this 3-ball as well, I'm sure this would become some sort of inside-out point center. Yep, so two-way inside-out point center is now what this name is. So now we have 3 different point center names at our disposal. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to see if this will become a 2-way 3-level point center. Just for proof of concept, just for you guys to see this. So again, we're going to put a cap here. And check this out. 2-way 3-level point center. So, we upgraded ball handle. We upgraded standing dunk. We upgraded 3-ball. Then we upgraded mid-range. This build now has 4 different point center build evolutions, and we're a 67 overall. So this build, just by being smart with where you apply your caps, went from a 2-way table setting cleaner to a 2-way point center cleaner to a 2-way point center riser to a 2-way inside out point center, and then finally to a 2-way 3-level point center. So the whole point of this video is for you guys to see, once you change archetypes fully, right? We got out of that table setter archetype. Once you change archetypes fully, you then can apply cap breakers to whatever rating you want to kind of get that added into this build name. So a few thresholds to keep an eye out for when you are trying to do this. On this version, and on all of these versions, you will need like a 60 ball handle in order to do this. So you could go 7'6" wingspan, and then if you get this up, obviously, right, you would be able to get your defensive rebounded upgraded all the way. So there is a world where you can have a 99 defensive rebound point center at 7'4" if that's what you want. You do have to have a 7'6" wingspan though in order for that to work. The 7'4" is going to give you the Giannis dribbles. It's the only reason why I went 7'4". But if you're not really concerned with that and you just want the name, then 100% just get this ball handle to 60, and then you'll be able to get your point center name. But some key thresholds, right? The 60 ball handle with your cap. That's your initial baseline. That's what gives you and puts you into this point center archetype, right? The point center build tree requires you at 7'4" to cap break this ball handle to 60. This interior defense is what ties into the 2-way name. So if you do not want to be a 2-way, this will probably need to be around 77, maybe 74 to be safe for the rating. Rebounding. This defensive rebound is going to need to be like 79, and this offensive rebound is going to need to be dropped substantially. You'll be able to figure this out by trial and error. But there's a relationship here that triggers the cleaner name, so you're going to need to drop that offensive rebound occasionally to, not get that whenever you first evo over to point center. Block. If this block goes up high enough, it's going to become a backline point center, or a shot erasing point center. So a good rule of thumb on how to get shot erasing or backline. Backline's tied into your interior defense. So if your interior, I believe it's probably less than 83, you'll get the shot erasing name. If it's more than 83, you'll probably get the backline name when this block is upgraded. Pass accuracy, to my knowledge, this only has to be 87 in order to evo the name. A rule of thumb I would look at, I would try to keep these shooting thresholds down to a fairly low level where you can cap break to change the name, solely because these attributes contribute to obviously a ton of different build names, mid-range names, shot creating names, stretch names, 3-point names, 3 levels, inside outs, inside the arcs. These all directly trigger archetype names. So these should be the last ratings you want to upgrade, and the ratings that get a huge cap boost. And on 7'4s, your shooting will always get a really nice cap boost. So these ratings you want to stay fairly low. 77 on mid-range or 78 on mid-range will keep the midi name out. And with 3-ball, 77 will keep a stretch name out if the game decides to throw that on, if it's really struggling to figure out what name to assign your build. If standing dunk goes over 83, 84 range, it will get rising or some type of finishing name. So again, when you're making this build, You're going to want this to stay around 81 just to prevent a rising name from being assigned off rip, because it's easier to add build names than it is to take away build names. Close shot, a little bit more wiggle room here. I would say 87, 88, 89 range would probably give you mashing or post scoring. Post control is another one. If this goes up to a certain amount, you'll get post scoring. Fairly straightforward there. And I think those are probably all of the main attributes on the point center. So I'm going to end this video off by trying to go ahead and get a mashing point center build name. I'm just curious if it's possible. So step one, I want to make sure this is not a two-way. So this is a shot erasing mid-paint maestro. To be even safer, what I'm going to do is drop this block down to just a flat 80. And I'm going to try to get this ball handle up to 56 so that we'll still be able to cap break that over that 60 threshold. So this is a Crafty mid-paint maestro. Now the goal is to try to get mashing point center. That build name may or may not exist. But just again, for proof of concept, like, you don't have to definitively know if a build exists or not before you do this, right? So we've got our ball handle. And also, this is obviously not refined at all. This is just, for your proof of concept. Right here. We're a Crafty mid-paint point center now. So I think that mid-range may be too high to trigger the mashing name. But what I'm going to do is try out again with this close shot. Now we're a Crafty Laymaking point center. So what this tells me is I probably am going to need to drop the layup, and I'm going to need to drop the mid-range in order to go ahead and try to get that mashing point center build name. What we do, right, we go back into the builder, lower this to 77. We're dropping this down to 49. We're going to drop this layup. We're going to raise this standing dunk to 82. And I believe the second this went to 87, the build name changed. So we're just going to have to do something like this. And we're going to go 77 3 ball. So hopefully this 77 3 ball does not change this build name. So we're a two-way Crafty dime masher now. I think this is probably our best shot at getting the mashing point center name. Now the two-way did fire, so if two-way mashing point center doesn't exist, we'll probably just get Laymaker again. We have upgraded the ball handle. We put one cap. We put two caps. Now we're a Crafty Laymaking point center again. So we're going to go ahead and drop this into our close shot. Drop one here. Drop one here. And as you see, we're pretty much locked into that Laymaking point center name. So basically means we're going to have to try to get the two-way archetype out of this if we want to have a chance at getting the mashing point center build name. And this is where it gets really tough. Like, I mean, as you guys can see, I'm pretty stumped on where to really put these at, right? We'll try 51 ball handle. This may still let us evo up to point center. Now we're just a Crafty dime masher, so we are no longer a two-way. I'd be happy with Crafty point center as well, so we're going to go ahead and see what happens when we add this ball handle. So again, right, upgrade the ball handle, come down here, 59, 65, and it throws us back into being a Crafty Laymaking point center. So I don't think mashing point center exists, but for the sake of this exercise or concept, right, I just really wanted you guys to kind of see how you test some of these live and to try to see if some of these names are possible, right? So I took away the two-way tag. I lowered our layup. And still, this build just will not evo into being a mashing point center. So I'm not fully sure if that build name exists or not. but this was just kind of an example of the steps I would take to try to see if a build name is possible using this method. So that's the video. Hopefully you found this interesting. If you do want to make a 7-4 point center, hopefully this gave you enough context to get creative and sort of make whatever 7-4 point center you want to make. Just thought this was really interesting and something that none of the other build YouTubers have really found or discovered yet, and I wanted to put this out there. So maybe they can make some really cool names with this as well. Obviously, I want the community to be able to make the coolest build names possible. Just my favorite thing in the game, build name diversity. And this is just another really great way to get cool build names on your player. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. That's all I got. Peace.